the possibility of the elimination of property taxes. We have some great speakers that's going to inform you. So I'm starting off just basically welcoming you, letting you know what this is about. As you know, at the state level, there has been discussion in regard to the elimination of property taxes. So we're gathered here today because we want to make sure our residents are truly informed. We want to make sure that today you leave here more educated and more informed than you were earlier today. So as far as the agenda, we're going to have our mayor and our commissioners in just a moment. They're going to be speaking, giving you their perspective and some information as to how this change will affect our city and services. After, our director of finance will also speak to you about how the elimination of property taxes will affect the operation of our city. We'll also hear from key directors, our directors of Parks and Human Services, as well as the director of Public Works, to let you know how this change will affect our infrastructure, our parks, and the services that our residents value. We also have a very important guest that's going to be providing a presentation. The Broward County property appraiser, Marty Carr, will be here. That will be talking to you about how property values are, property taxes are calculated, and what this also means for you. So we'll also close with a question and answer period, because we want your voices to be heard. So staff, the commission, as well as the property appraiser's office, I see their staff in the back, will be ready and prepared to answer your questions. We also have one of our local lobbyists here. I see Latoya back there from Becker. So we have her here to answer any questions that you may have for her. And I also want to take this moment to thank our officials. I see that we have our fire chief and our police chief, who knows how important this is for them to be here as well. So thank you all for being here. Thank our team, our staff, for being here as well. And at this time, I will, former Commissioner Mark Spence, where is he? Right here, former Commissioner Mark Spence is here. Thank you also. I think that covered everyone. Again, thank you for being here. Welcome to our town hall meeting. And without further ado, I'll introduce Mayor Veronica Edwards Phillips to share some information about this very important topic.
Thank you so very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much, Madam Acting City Manager. And thank you for coming this evening. This is such an important topic, and we wanted to inform you so that if and when it comes as a referendum, you will be an informed voter, so you can make your choice as it relates to this particular referendum, because, as you know, education, information is important. Before I go into why we must pay attention, I just want Latoya Shields to stand up, and I want you to see her. Stand up. She's not shy. I don't know what she's doing. Latoya Shields is one of our state lobbyists with Becker and Poliakoff, and Latoya advocates for the city of Lauderdale Lakes. Those who she works with advocate for the city of Lauderdale Lakes in our initiatives that we go to Tallahassee. So I just want to let you know that we have support across the state itself. And thank you so much, Latoya, for coming out this evening. Well, we're here tonight because Florida House Bills 201 through 215 propose dramatic changes to our state property taxes. Probably about a month ago, maybe a little longer than a month ago, you got your property tax bill and it told you owed X number of dollars for your property taxes. Okay. And then it lists all of the entities to which you were paying property taxes. Go back home and get it and look at that so you can put it in perspective after tonight's meeting. The dramatic changes to the state's property tax structure changes would significantly impact all cities across Florida. This is not Lauderdale Lakes. This is not Broward County. This is a statewide issue that everyone should be aware of. Our current property tax system was created by whom other than the voters, than us, some time ago, with the goal of keeping local dollars in local communities. And that is so very, very important. It's traditionally referred to as home rule, that you are able to do in your individual communities what your voters and what your commissioners and what your legislators see fit to benefit your community. So what we're talking about, local dollars in local communities, but the state is possibly proposing that this no longer happens. And decisions in our local communities affect us. You know, you come to town hall meetings, you come to commission meetings, you come to workshops, you tell us you want this, you tell us you don't want that, but also everything is tied to the budget and the funds that we receive. So it's going to be very important that we learn what goes on. And what does the bill want to do? The proposed legislation aims to reduce or phase out our local property taxes. And I won't get into the weeds on that because we do have speakers who are going to get into if our property taxes, our local property taxes are reduced, how that is going to impact us locally as far as dollars are concerned. It puts a cap or limit on municipality millage rates. It shifts the authority from local government to the state. And this is so very important. Would you want someone in Georgia telling you how to utilize your funds here in the state of Florida? Well, that's part of what this referendum may propose to do, is that the state of Florida will tell us to do, mandate for us what to do with our own money. Who likes someone else telling them what to do with their money? Oh, okay. All right. I thought that. It's going to replace, it may replace local revenue with unspecified alternative resources. Alternative resources, what does that mean? You don't know. What's an alternative resource? They don't tell us what an alternative resource may be. So that is one thing that we need to keep our eye out for. But what's missing in this proposed bill, if it comes to fruition, is there is no identified replacement funding, which means the funding that we may lose from property taxes. They don't tell us how we're going to get funds for our roads, for our infrastructure, and for the services and for our programs that we provide. Can you hear me? And for the programs that the city provides. It doesn't even say that. It just says that possibly we will no longer have the level of funding that we now have. And there is no statewide commitment to offsetting the loss of funds that we may experience, which is there will be no protection for essential services at the local level. So why specifically does this matter for our great VCare city of Lauderdale Lakes? Police and emergency services. Don't we all want to get our safety, police safety, be safe in our communities? Our youth programs. We talk about our children are our future. Our youth programs may be affected, and recreational opportunities. Our Parks and Human Services Department puts on some great events for our youth and for us. So those services may be impacted. Our clean canals and reliable stormwater system. As you may have noticed, our canals are getting cleaner and cleaner by the day, so that will be affected. Our safe roads and sidewalks. Where would the money come for sidewalks? Where would the money come for roads? So they may be impacted. And these are not optional or will not be optional if the referendum may pass in next year. And they are the backbone, these funds are the backbones of the We Care City. It removes or reducing local property taxes does not remove the cost of these services. So we don't no longer have the funding or have less funding. We still need the services. Who's going to pay for them? How are we going to pay for them? Possibly, according to this, Higher sales tax. I think we had a sales tax increase. Can't remember when back, but we possibly may be looking at a higher sales tax. New municipal fees. And what we do not want to do is reduce the level of services that we provide for our communities. Additionally, our Save Our Homes, which protects homeowners, annual tax increases is also at risk. This is the single largest tax protection Florida homeowners currently enjoy. It shifts taxing authority to Tallahassee. I cannot express this enough that this referendum will shift everything from the local level, may shift everything from the local level to Tallahassee. So local authority will be out the window. Home rule will be out the window. So it takes decision-making away from the residents and away from the leaders that you have voted to make sure that you have the services here in our community. So tonight, again, thank you for coming. Our goal is to make sure that you understand what exactly is at stake. This is not an individual. I just want to make clear, this is not an individual thing. It will affect us individually, but this is a state of Florida. So we're not having this because we're in Lauderdale Lakes. Yes, we are. But we're also having it because we want those in our communities to know how this may impact us and what is at stake. Now, at this time, we'll let our Vice Mayor, Sharon Thomas, come and talk with us about property taxes, about why property taxes play such an essential role in stabilizing and strengthening our community. Again, good night. Thank you so very, very much for coming. And we have great information for you. Jot down your questions, and we'll be more than glad to make a response to them. Vice Mayor Thomas.
Well, good evening again. Just want to acknowledge the online viewers. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate it. You know, I heard this. Sometimes it has to reach you first before you're able to pass the message on. So we're just here to paint a picture for you, letting you know that it's something for you to think about. Think about it. So how does property taxes protect homeowners and quality of life? In Lauderdale Lakes, property taxes fund, as the mayor clearly stated, I'm just reinforcing it, police services, parks and recreation programs, street lighting and road improvements, drainage and canal assistance. These programs are the backbone of safe, healthy, and vibrant communities. The affordability does matter. It says Floridians are already feeling the strain of rising costs. How many insurances have gone up? Let me see your hands if your insurance has gone up, okay? It has soared. Housing and food prices continue to rise. Have you gone in the food store recently? Chlorine bleach. Oh, in Walmart. Can you imagine chlorine bleach that we used to get for $1 and change? Medical expenses are increases. So eliminating property taxes may sound like it's a savings to you and I. I'm a resident here too. I am concerned. But it's not a true tax cut for the full-time Floridians. It becomes a tax shift. Moving the burden from property taxes to higher fees and other costs. So who benefits and who loses? The ones who stand to gain the most are seasonal residents. And who are those? Those that come from out of state, the Canadian, 6 months here and 6 months there. They stand to benefit from this. Out of state investors. Do you see some buildings going up all around you? We're not talking about just the city of Lauderdale Lakes.
There are over 421 municipalities in the state of Florida. So this applies right across the board. We won't have a voice. That's what's happening now, that local voices do not matter. That means you and I will not have a voice. Certain commercial property owners will also benefit. Who will lose from this? Full-time residents. Are you a full-time resident? Do you live here full-time? Then you will be affected. Seniors. I'm in the senior group. You know, I'm right there now. Working families and homeowners currently protected by Save Our Homes. We must ensure statewide changes do not erode the essential, I cannot stress that enough, the essential services and protection residents depend upon. We just increased the services of our police force. We just increased that. All these things, what you want, safety, what you want around you to feel protected, it will all be affected. So it's dependent on us residents, not only the leaders that you have voted on to put us here, but we are all affected. Wherever, whatever city you live in, you are affected. Now we're going to hear from Commissioner Ticey Coswell to speak on the community impact of these reforms. Please give her a hand as she comes.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Thomas. It's so nice to see you here this evening. And I'm going to talk about the community impact that property tax has on all community. Real impact on families. We all are part of a family. Youth, seniors, and the neighborhood. Let's talk about how these changes would affect people, including me. I'm a resident of Lauderdale Lakes for over 40 years. So I consider myself a recycled teenager, not a senior. I'm a recycled teenager. And I know that property tax, if we eliminate it, it's going to affect my quality of life. And if it affects my quality of life, certainly it's going to affect the entire community. Now we have several programs. This, where we are right now, is considered the senior center. Quite yesterday, they had a big to-do by the BSO. Now, if we decide to do away with property tax, that will go. And I see quite a number of domino players in the audience right now. Can you show me your hands if you don't mind? Okay, good. What will happen if we are not able to collect property tax? It's something that appears to be good. That okay, one less bill to pay. Not true. Who wants to see the potholes? No one. What about the teenagers? Lauderdale Lakes is blessed to have several programs for teenagers. They have the STEAM program, science, technology, arts, and mathematics. They have the youth council, you name it. What about the Vikings? That has been doing so well. What will happen if we decide, or Tallahassee says it, but you have to vote for or against? Are you going to vote against your own interests? No, I don't think you're going to do that. It is so vital that you are an informed citizen. Knowledge is power. And you know, we have misinformation, disinformation. No, we want to hear the truth. And I always hear a phrase, all that glitters is not gold, and I would say platinum now. Appears to look good on the outside, but when you start peeling off, what? You're not going to like what you're going to get. Please bear in mind that one of the greatest gifts you have as a property owner is a property owner. And if we complain sometimes about code, think about if you're not able to call the development services and tell them that there is a code violation. You believe there is a code violation going on next door to your house. Do you know that the impact that is going to do on your property value? No. The city property tax appears to be plenty. I guarantee you pay more for your insurance. Insurance has gone up over 300% in the last 5 years. And guess what? If you have a mortgage on your property, whether you like to have the insurance or not, you're bounded by the mortgage company who keep insurance. And your insurance, I guarantee right now, is far more greater than the property tax that Lauderdale Lakes gets. And technically, we don't get it because what do we have to do? We have to reinvest it by the employees that we employ. You call public works because you don't like the canal, how it looks. Someone is going to look about it. So I'm just small person in a big thing. Home rule is what you did for all of us when you elected us as mayor and commissioners. You elected us so that we would be looking out for your interests, not Tallahassee. Tallahassee has been switching for a few years now, and now they are full blown, whereby they want to get rid of your property value. Okay? Bear that in mind. When you decide that I'm going to vote for eliminating property tax, you're really doing yourself a disfavor because in the end, it's not going to affect Tallahassee. It's going to affect you. So it's going to be on the ballot. That's what the Tallahassee people say, state reps and senators. So all that glitters, I would say I leave that with you, is not good. They're coming back. Okay, Madam Mayor, I'm going to ask you to come back and just expound a little bit more where I left off. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Coswell. So now I want to talk about the breakdown, what the proposed property tax reforms would mean financially, specifically for the city of Lauderdale Lakes. If House Bill 201 to 215 passes without replacement revenue, remember when I was up earlier, I talked about there were no stipulations for replacement revenue that could possibly be lost. The city of Lauderdale Lakes would lose approximately 43% of our general revenue fund. 43% of our general revenue fund, which approximately amounts to $14 million in loss. $14 million, a lot of money. It provides a lot of services. It provides those things in our city that makes our city safe city, sound city, a family city. And our most important revenue source is, guess what? The property tax. So if we lose our property taxes, there goes $14 million in losses, which is 43% of our general revenue fund. Let that sink in. Other major sources are sales tax, franchise fees, and utility taxes. They're much smaller, but they could never fill in that 14 million gap or that 43%. In other words, there is no realistic way to replace nearly half, 43%, of our operating budget without severe impacts. One thing that has been stipulated, public safety cannot be cut. And I'm sure you would not want public safety to be cut. Public safety cannot be cut, and property taxes to the school board of Broward County cannot be touched either. I say to people, I do not have any biological children. I said, I've never had a child in the school system, so why am I paying taxes? But you know what? That does not matter. I am a resident here in Broward County in the city of Lauderdale Lakes, so whomever lives here, you have to pay those stipulated taxes. Departments that would be affected are Parks and Human Services, Developmental Services, Public Works, Youth Programs, Senior Services, City Events, Canal and Roadway Maintenance. And this isn't just a budget issue. It affects every section, every corner, every dot of our community. What are we going to say when you all call us up and say, anybody going to clean the parks this week? Are the streets going to be safer? The street lights are out. When are the street lights going to be back on? Our kids are running around. We really don't have anything for them to do. Festival events, those events that we enjoy so much. Caribbean Fest, our cultural program, Black History Month. What are we going to do? Just going to sit home and watch daytime soaps or whatever it is that you watch during the day? And those services are all funded through property taxes. So without that revenue, cities have to turn to new fees. Assessments will have to be increased. Unfortunately, we have to reduce services, and repairs will have to be delayed. So this is the financial reality for the city of Lauderdale Lakes. So we have one other section that we would like to receive information on, and our acting city manager will come to us again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. So I'm going to talk about Save Our Homes and the cap that's so important. One of the most important protections that we have is the Save Our Homes cap. And why it's important is because it limits the increase of taxable value for homesteaded properties. It safeguards and helps families remain in their homes even when property values does rise. And when we have these proposed reforms, they place our stability at risk. If this happens, other taxes could fluctuate dramatically, and seniors and longtime residents could face extreme pressures because of it. Families on fixed incomes may start to struggle because, of course, the cost for other services and for other things like taxes will increase. And neighborhood stability and affordability could be disrupted because of this. And also, one reason that this is not a good thing for the city is because we lose control. And local control is important for our city and for you as residents and homeowners. When tax and authority and decision-making shift to the state, residents lose influence and accountability. Local control is very important. It ensures that our decisions reflect our needs. We have to consider our families, our seniors, our youth, and our neighborhoods. And we consider those things on the local level. So preserving homeowner stability is important to us. Protecting the affordability of our We Care city is important to us. So we're not here today to advocate, but we're here to really inform you so that you can make an informed decision. As Commissioner Icy Coswell said, more than likely this is going to be on the ballot. So now you have heard from all of us, you know how important this matter is, and it has to be taken seriously. At this time, we're going to shift our program just a little bit. I'm being told that our special guest is here to provide us some additional great information and answer questions, and that is our Broward County property appraiser, Marty Carr.
Hey, everybody.
He's going to take the mic at this time and provide you some valuable information. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Veronica. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for sending it. I'm happy to. Hey, everybody. Good to see y'all. What's that I do? Oh, there's a clicker. Nice. So how you all doing today? I have to tell you, I love the city of Lauderdale Lakes, and one reason why I love it is because I think you all have a fantastic government here. You have a great mayor, great commission, and I have to tell you, Venice is like the easiest person to work with in all of Broward County. Hopefully nobody else from outside of Lauderdale Lakes just heard me say that, but she is just fantastic. And just for the folks that I haven't met here, my name is Marty Carr. I'm honored to be your Broward County property appraiser, and just a little about myself. And then what I want to do is just quickly talk about talk about the different proposals that are going to be likely on the ballot, the impacts that it's going to have. But before that, I want to thank you. You know, you all have given me the great privilege to serve in a lot of elected capacities. I got to serve in the Florida House of Representatives. I got to serve in the county commission. I was the mayor of Broward County. And since 2017, you've allowed me to be your Broward County property appraiser. And I can say of all the elected jobs I've ever had, this one I love the most by far, because you get to interact with everyone in the county, and the nature of the job just lets you help people. And there's a lot of things that our office does to help public. The most important thing that we do is we determine the value of every property in Broward County for tax purposes, whether it's residential, commercial, tangible personal property, or essentially assessed property, which are railroads. And the reason that's important is when you pay your property taxes, the amount of taxes you pay depends on the value of the property we set and the tax rate set by Lauderdale Lakes, the county commission, the school board, and all other taxing authorities. So the most important thing we want to do is just make sure we get it right. And as you know, you live in a county that is humongous. More people live here than 13 states, the District of Columbia, and all U.S. territory except Puerto Rico. That's how big it is. And the work that our office does is just very, very important. And I think our assessments are very accurate, but sometimes mistakes can occur. And so what I always tell people is if you have any concern with the value of your property, and if you just go on our website at bcpa.net and you can actually look at your property, if you have any concerns with that, just give us a call. We'll go through it with you so we can make sure that you only pay your taxes on your fair share of value, which means you only pay your fair share of property taxes. The other thing I want to quickly talk about before I get to this very important information that we put together for you all is just the ways you can actually save money now. And there are actually a lot of ways you can save money in your property taxes. And actually, Venice really jumped in on the most important thing to save our home's assessment cap. You know, when you buy your home, you file for homestead. And when you do that, the value of your tax lien can't go more than 3% or the consumer price index, whichever is lower. So over time, your market value can get very high, but your assessed value is actually capped because of the Save Our Homes Assessment Clause. So that's why you'll notice that some people, if you've been in your property for a very long time, you can sell your property for a heck of a lot more than you're paying taxes on. And you'll also notice sometimes that people will move next to you and they'll be paying a lot more taxes than you are, even though they have the same value of home that you have. That's because you've been in your home for a while and you have that Save Our Homes Assessment cap. So right now you can actually file for a homestead. It kicks in that cap. You can already save a lot of money in your taxes. If you're a widow, you can save exemptions. If you are a veteran that's disabled, you can have a big exemption. If you are visually impaired, you can save money. There's lots of ways you can already save money in your property taxes, and with some big exemptions for seniors. And so I just wanted to quickly bring that up because we actually brought our staff here. They're in the back over there. They are awesome. You have Alicia, Jackie, Annalisa, Erica. They're all in the back there, and they'll be here till the rest of the meeting. And if anybody has any concerns right now with the amount of property taxes they pay, sit down with them. They'll go through it. They'll tell you what exemptions you currently have. And if there's something you're not getting, they'll actually sign you up so you only pay your fair share. The other thing I wanted to quickly talk about is just kind of talk about what the mayor and the commission asked me to come to talk about today. And that is basically what's being proposed in the Florida House of Representatives and the Senate and by the governor, and what may be on the ballot in 2026. And let me just quickly tell you how we got here. You may recall about a year ago, some random person from North Florida retweeted that he hated his property taxes and they should be abolished. And the governor decided to retweet that retweet. And when the governor retweets something about anything, especially when it comes to property taxes and doing away with them, that makes a big conversation all throughout the state of Florida. And so when that happened, there's something called the Florida Policy Institute, which is a really important think tank in Tallahassee. It's a nonpartisan think tank that really just studies proposals by the Florida legislature to see their effect on the people of Florida, decides to do a study. And they said, okay, if we eliminate all property taxes, that's everything, commercial, residential, everything you think of, what does that mean for the people of Florida? And what does that mean for revenue for local governments? And they determined that if you eliminate all property taxes, that would eliminate $55 billion of revenue that local governments collect. And that's what funds your schools, your police, your fire, your roads, your bridges, the programs you have here. If you play dominoes in the back, all those different things is funded by that $55 billion statewide. And then they said, okay, if you do away with that and you don't have that $55 billion, what do you need to replace that $55 billion? You can still have police, fire, schools, and all those different things. And they determined they would have to increase the sales tax to at least 12%, likely a lot higher than that. And then what they did was they said, okay, let's do a poll of all the voters of the state of Florida. And the reason being is because for anything to change, for anything when it comes to property taxes to change, it has to be voted into the Constitution by the people. And so they said, okay, if more than 60% of the people vote for something, it will amend the Constitution. So they did a poll to see if more than 60% of the people would approve of getting rid of property taxes and increasing it with a very large sales tax. And overwhelmingly, the people of Florida said no. All parties, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, said it was a bad idea. All areas of the state said, no, we don't think it's a good idea to do away with property taxes and increase it with a massive sales tax. And when that happened, the conversation changed a little bit to homesteaded property. And that's when I think you had the governor and some other people coming out and saying, okay, forget about these other properties, commercial properties, second homes, residential, not homestead. But if it's your homestead property, that's what we're going to focus on. And the governor's been advocating to do away with all property taxes on homesteaded property, but he hasn't come out with a plan. And the reason he hasn't come out with a plan, I believe, is because to put something on the ballot, the governor has a voice, but he doesn't actually have a say. What happens is the legislature, the House and the Senate, whatever they approve, that's what goes to the ballot. The governor can say what he wants, but they're the ones that actually do it. And so the other person that's very powerful up there is the Senate president. The Senate hasn't come out with a plan either. We really don't know where they are. But the only group that's actually come out with something is the Speaker of the House and the Republicans basically in the Florida House of Representatives. They have the leadership. And they came out with a number of different proposals that they would like to put on the ballot. And they did that by putting together what's called a 37-member select committee of Democrats and Republicans to basically put forth proposals. And the select committee at first passed 8 different proposals, but then 4 of those proposals got agenda to what's called the Committee on State Affairs. So they're the ones that are moving. And then there's one final proposal that was put on the Ways and Means Committee, but there are 4 proposals that are actually moving that have a chance of getting through the Florida House of Representatives and getting to the state Senate. And those are the ones I just wanted to quickly focus on because I wanted to give you kind of all the information. Because at the end of the day, if these proposals make it, that's when we all go out just as people and say, okay, do we want to vote for it or against it? And we just need all the information possible. And that's why I'm so glad that Lauderdale Lakes is putting this on. And so I have a quick little PowerPoint presentation here that I just wanted to go through with y'all, just to kind of put in perspective what these proposals do. Now, I have no idea how to use this little thing. So I'm guessing, do I push that button? Let me get this up. Let's see what happens. I almost did it. I did it. All right. I feel very good about this. So I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. They are way more advanced when it comes to anything like this. So usually my 16-year-old would have done it for me. So with my 13-year-old, I'm going to pass on this page, and I'm actually going to move on to the first page because I don't want to take up too much of your time. And so let me just go quickly here, there, and there. This is the first page. And what I'm going to do is I just want to quickly go through each of the proposals and how they impact both the Broward County Commission and also the city of Lauderdale Lakes. Now, there are a few things you have to understand with regard to these proposals. These proposals do a few things. They hold schools harmless. So what that basically means is anything that's put on the ballot, if these are put on the ballot, you will still pay taxes to the school board. So that is still there. The other thing that these proposals do is they prohibit Lauderdale Lakes and the county commission and all taxing authorities from reducing funding for law enforcement. So you just have to keep that in mind, which is also important to note as well. Remember this, 50% of the funding for Lauderdale Lakes likely goes to law enforcement. So that does mean if any of these pass, there could be a big chunk of revenue out of the city that could actually impact your services. Very important to note. But let me go through the first one. And what we did was we basically said, oh, there's one other thing, and I do apologize. There are no implementing bills, and that's very important as well. Because when the legislature puts something on the ballot and it passes, then they have what's called a statutory implementing bill. Basically, it's another law that they pass that says, okay, this is now in the Constitution, that's how it's going to be administered. And that will happen if anything passes here for the next legislature and the next governor. And that's when they're going to have to deal with budgetary shortfalls and all kinds of different things that could be impacted if any of these pass. So let's just go through a few of them. This is on Broward County. So right now, you have a very large county. There are 424,899 homesteaded properties in Broward County. That's how many would be impacted if, I apologize. The first one is House Joint Resolution 201. And what it would do, it would eliminate all homestead property taxes except for the school portion of the tax bill. So that means if this passes, you won't pay taxes to the city of Lauderdale Lakes, the county commission, and any other taxing authority but the school board. And so in Broward County, overall, there are 424,899 homesteaded properties. The average savings per property owner is $3,387. The median savings is $2,421. Now, that's a much better number to utilize, the median, and I'll tell you why. The average savings gets impacted by outliers. There are properties in Broward County that are 20, 30, 40 million dollars. So they drive that number up, but it's not realistic for normal people like me and most of the folks here. And so the median is better. That's right in the middle. So the right in the middle property would save $2,421. That's a big chunk of money, but that also means it's a lot less money that Broward County will have to provide very important services. And so if you look at it this year, Broward County levied $1.804 billion in property tax. That's what they collected countywide. And now we're a place as big as a state. If this were in effect for the 2025 tax year, they would have collected $1.179 billion, which basically means they would have lost about $624 million, which is a 34.6% decrease. Now, what's important to note about that is taxes paid to Broward County pay for a whole lot of things. They pay for lots of parks, lots of libraries, mass transit, all kinds of services that are very important. But 50% of their $1.8 billion goes towards the sheriff's office. Public safety, that's the most expensive thing. So if they have to hold that harmless, that doesn't leave a tremendous amount for them to pay for other stuff. And so that's something very important for people to note. The next page is how it'll affect the people of Lauderdale Lakes. And so this is the same one. House Joint Resolution 201, basically saying that you would pay no property taxes except for the school portion of the tax bill. So there are actually 6,091 homesteaded property owners in Lauderdale Lakes. The average savings would be $1,340, but the median savings, which is much better, would be $757. That's what the median property owner would save if they didn't pay taxes to Lauderdale Lakes or the county commission or any taxing authority, but the school board. The Lauderdale Lakes, though, levied this year, as you can see, about $19.37 million. That's what they utilized to pay for a whole lot of very important services for the people of Lauderdale Lakes. If this were in effect, they would have collected about $14.9 million, which is about a 22.8% decrease, about $4.4 million. Again, as the mayor and others indicated, half of the money that they collect actually goes to public safety. So it kind of puts into perspective what the loss would be for the city. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's very important that you have all the information. You know what the savings are. You also know what the losses are going to be. So you can make a very good decision to put on the ballot. The next page, I'll just quickly show you this. I just think it's kind of interesting. So this is every city in Broward County. And every city is impacted differently based on how much residential they have and how much commercial. And there are two in here that I highlight. Kind of see at Pembroke Park and Parkland, because they really show just the difference. Pembroke Park is barely affected by this proposal. The reason being is because Pembroke Park has very few homesteaded properties. It's almost all mobile home communities in Pembroke Park. That's how people live there. Very little homestead. They have a lot of commercial. So you notice there, they only lose about 1.3% of what they collect. That's not a whole lot. Parkland, on the other hand, is the other example. Parkland is almost all residential, almost all homesteaded. They have very little commercial. And so they would actually lose 75.2% of their property taxes. And it kind of shows the difference based on where you live and what city you live in. The next page I wanted to quickly go to is page number 8. Oh, there it is. And this would be the second exemption that the legislature is considering. The first one was the biggest one. That would have by far the biggest impact. But this one does the same thing, but it's for seniors. It basically says if you're 65 and over, you would pay no property taxes except for the school portion of the tax bill. And as you'll see, the difference is a lot less than what the other one would bring. So here's what it does. In Broward County, there are 163,590 seniors that own properties in Broward County. As you'll see in here, the average savings is $2,260, but the median savings, which is the much better number, is $1,121. Countywide, Broward County again levied $1.8 billion in property taxes to pay for very important functions. If this were in effect, they would have levied $1.642 billion. So it would be about a 9% decrease. It would lose about $161 million. As you can see, this one is a little bit more manageable than the other one. It pertains solely to seniors. And at the same time, something that's important to note is it doesn't have an income tax bill. We do have, just for your notes, seniors in Broward County that are worth many, 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 many billions of dollars. They would also be exempt as well. So things you just need to take into consideration where I think that's actually very important. For Lauderdale Lakes is number 9. Basically, same thing. If you're 65 and over, you pay no property tax except for the school portion of the tax bill. Currently in Lauderdale Lakes, you have 3,056 seniors. The average savings for a senior would be $564 for the whole year. The median savings would be $334. The total taxes levied, again, were $19.3 million. If this were in effect, the city commission would levy about $18.4 million. They would lose about $938,000, which is about a 4.8% decrease in what they collect. I just think that's very important. The next couple pages just have each of the cities again. And then we have the next proposal that I think you'll find a little bit different, but it's one that the legislature is pushing. And this one actually right now has the best chance of getting through just because it's went through an additional committee from the other one. So this one right here, just to let you know, it went through the Select Committee on Property Taxes. It went through the State Affairs Committee, and it went through the only one to go through what's called the Ways and Means Committee. And what this says is basically if you are a homesteaded property owner and you have multi-peril property insurance, you would get an additional $200,000 homestead exemption on top of your current homestead exemption. And let me tell you, this one I also have to tell you is very hard to calculate because the only person that I know in all of Broward County that has home insurance is me. because I don't know if anybody else has it. And there's no way for me to figure that out. So what we did was we basically said, okay, under the biggest case scenario, if you assume that every single property owner has homeowners insurance, this would be the impact to the Broward County government. And so here's what we found. There are 424,000, again, 899 homesteaded properties all throughout Broward County. The average savings for property would be $1,830. The median savings would be about $2,217. The total taxes levied, again, for Broward County was $1,804,000,000. If this were in effect for the 2025 tax year, Broward County would have levied $1.47 billion, which, if you assume, again, every single person has homeowners insurance, it would have been about an 18.3% decrease to their budget, about $329 million. We did the same thing for Lauderdale Lakes to see what the impact would be here. And again, we would assume that every single property owner in Lauderdale Lakes has homeowners insurance. And if you do that, this can be the biggest impact. Again, there are 6,091 homesteaded properties here in Lauderdale Lakes. The average savings for property would be $1,133. The median savings would be $757. Again, Lauderdale Lakes levied $19.3 million in taxes. If this were in effect and you assume everybody has homeowners insurance, they would have levied $15.6 million in taxes, which would be about a $3.7 million decrease, which is about 19.3%. So it's a pretty large number. I just wanted to bring that up because I think that's a very important proposal because it does have a very good chance of getting through. As you know, homeowners insurance is brutal. I just got my renewal for homeowners insurance. I really wish the legislature would focus more on that than other stuff because I think people are getting hit very, very hard with that. But I think this is their attempt to kind of address that issue, and that's where this comes in. The next one is the final one that I wanted to bring up, and I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and allowing me to have a few words about what's happening. I just think this is exceptionally important. This is the final proposal, and it pertains to something called portability. Portability is something that really does help a lot of people, and it really does help people, especially in its current form. Here's what it says. When you buy your home, you file for homestead. And when you did that, the Save Our Homes assessment clause kicked into place that said every year thereafter, the value you're taxed on couldn't go more than a maximum of 3%. So over time, your market value gets very, very high. Your assessed value stays lower because of that cap. You have all this value between your market value and your assessed value. You don't pay taxes on it. If you now decide you want to buy another home of equal or greater value, you can move whatever difference that is with you up to $500,000 of value to a new home and not pay taxes on it. If it's of a home of equal or greater value, if it's a home of lower value, take a percentage of it. You can save a lot of money on your property taxes. I'll just give you one example. Me, way back in 2016, I had lived in a small townhouse with my wife and my kids in the town of Davie for a number of years, and we loved it. But then it got very, very packed, and we had my wife, myself, my kids, a whole bunch of animals, and we needed to move to a single-family home. And what we did was we found a pretty single-family home in Plantation. We moved there, and there was about $69,000 I wasn't paying taxes on in my townhouse in Davie that was able to be moved over to my single-family home in Plantation, which saved me a couple $1,000s a year on my property taxes. So portability is a really good thing. What this proposal does is change it for everything but the school board portion of the tax bill. So the school board portion of the tax bill, you can move up to $500,000 on an equal or greater home. On a lower value home, you take a percentage of it. But on the city and the county and all other taxing authorities, there would be no cap anymore. So you can basically move whatever you've accumulated up or down. So let's say, for example, I'll give you a good example. Let's say somebody lives in Palm Beach County. And let's say they've accumulated $700,000 of value they weren't paying taxes on. Now they want to move to Lauderdale Lakes. And let's say they find a home, and I believe the median sale price right now in Lauderdale Lakes is right about $500,000. They then move here, they buy that home for $500,000. They can move their full $700,000 here and not pay taxes to the city of Lauderdale Lakes. So, but that's kind of what this does. And so what we decided to do was to figure out in Broward County how many people actually utilized portability last year that had more than $500,000 of value. And so what we found was all throughout Broward County, 5,464 people, when they moved, they transferred portability. When we found out of those, 317 had more than $500,000 of value. So the impact that that would have had on the Broward County Commission was, again, they collected $1.8 billion in property taxes. The total tax dollar impact would have been about $1.1 million. So it's about a 0.1% decrease. That's what that impact would have been. Finally, we also did this for Lauderdale Lakes. And in Lauderdale Lakes, You have 59 properties that utilized portability last year. There weren't any properties though in Lauderdale Lakes that had more than $500,000 of value. We did find though that there would have been about a $3,700 decrease to what Lauderdale Lakes collected in properties, only because we also calculated for Lauderdale Lakes what would have happened if somebody bought downward and they transferred the entire thing. And so that's pretty much all of the amendments. I just wanted to talk about these to give them to you all, just so you're aware of what is currently going through the Florida House of Representatives. And it's also, again, important to note, there's a good possibility that these will be put on the ballot. There's a possibility that something else we put on the ballot. And there's also a possibility that nothing we put on the ballot. But it's very important that we're all prepared for whatever is put on the ballot, because at the end of the day, any legislature that votes for any of these is going to be the most consequential vote they'll ever take. And as residents of Florida, whatever is put before us will be one of the most consequential votes we'll ever take as voters, because it will actually impact every single person in Florida in so many different ways. And so my goal is really just to provide information to everybody so we can all just make the best vote for ourselves and our families as possible. With that said, I hope I didn't go on for too long. I just appreciate so much y'all having me today. I promise, what I'd like to do is continue to keep you all informed about what's going through. And the one thing we have in our office, of course, is information. And so as anything is proposed by people in leadership up in Tallahassee that has a chance, what I'd like to, if it's okay with you all, is keep running numbers for Lauderdale Lakes and Broward County and send them to you so you can also have them and provide them with your residents. Again, thank you all so much for allowing me to do this. I want to once again thank your fantastic mayor, commission, and your unbelievably awesome manager, who I'm a big fan of, because they do work very hard for you all every day. Again, my staff will stay here for the rest of the evening. I truly apologize. The only reason being is my youngest daughter is in cheerleading, and my job is to pick her up today. And I get worried because, she's 13, and what I found is they won't wait with her. So she'll be outside by herself, and I don't want to make her wait. And so I do apologize, but they'll be here. Anybody who wants to sit down with them, they'd love to hang out with you. Thank you so much for hearing me out there. You guys are great. Thank you.
No, that was excellent. Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone appreciated all that valuable information. Thank you, Marty, for taking time out of your family schedule to be with us tonight. As he said, although he has to run, he does have his staff back there. Please, if anyone has any questions for the property appraiser, please see his team before you leave. At this time, we do have Sharon Haynes, our financial services director, who's going to provide a presentation as far as property tax and the operations of our city and how it helps us. Thank you, Ms. Haynes.
Good evening, City of Lauderdale Lakes. My name is Sharon Haynes. I'm Director of Financial Services. Here this evening is to put numbers to all of the information that you've been hearing. And so I'm going to focus on the budget that we prepared for 2026 and how it would affect the city if it was in place. Okay, let's see. All right, so this is showing you the general fund budget for the city for 2026. Our fiscal year begins in October and go to September each year. And so the general fund is like your checking account. That is where the city accounts for most of the revenue coming into the city, and most of the expenditures are expenses that we're paying. So this is the general fund operate budget for the year that we're currently in, 2026, that we would use all the way up to September. And as you can see, property tax for 2026 fiscal year is the biggest source of revenue that we have. We also have other sources of revenue, sales and other taxes, miscellaneous revenue, charges for service, permits and license, fines and forfeitures, and intergovernmental revenue. But our biggest sources, again, is the property tax. And then on the pink is the expenditures that the city would pay out of the general fund. And you can see in the red, the police and emergency services is the biggest expenditure for the city. And this is just a graph that shows, again, the biggest portion of the revenue coming in, the biggest portion of a pie chart there is property tax. And then we have all of our other sources of revenue. Similar, this is the expenditure side that is showing our biggest expenditure is police services and fire and rescue services. And I wanted to present this because I want you to keep in mind, should the city lose its property tax, it doesn't have the ability to reduce these services. We cannot cut those funds. And the city is contracted with Broward Sheriff Office for the provision of public safety. And we have a signed contract that says next year, we're going to have a 13% increase. So these numbers that you're seeing here are likely to go up in 2027. So without property tax, it's going to be quite challenging to cover all of our services that we provide. So now I'm going to talk to you about how the property tax is determined here in Lauderdale Lakes. We assess property tax on the tax assessed value of your home using a millage rate. And Lauderdale Lakes has not changed its millage rate since 2019. You see that red line going across all the way to 2025. The city has maintained its millage rate. And so the average person within the city of Lauderdale tax bill would be about $1,989. This pie chart is showing you the portion that comes to the city and the portion that goes to other Broward County agencies, right? So that $1,989, the city only gets about 39% of that. The rest of it goes to fund other agencies in Broward County. And here I've kind of broken it out so you can see that's what the average person would pay, $1,989. Then the school board would get $615. Broward County gets $461. Broward Hospital, $107. Then we have other agencies like the Water Management District that gets the other $41. And the city would get $773. So for $773 annually, our residents receive these services from the city. We get police services, medical emergency services, parks and recreation maintenance, city facilities and fleet, senior services, youth programs, and public infrastructure. Without property tax for 2026, the year that we're in, the city would have had a deficit of just over $15 million. Again, this is a graph showing you expenditure is in the orange. The revenues excluding property tax, 28%, then a deficit that we would need to make up, which we still don't know what would be the alternate source of funding. So the city would need to find about 22% more to cover all of the expenditures that it currently provides. So these are some of the impact that we see likely to affect our residents if this property tax proposal should succeed. Reduce service levels, that is decreased maintenance of parks, roadways, and recreational trails. More than likely, we would have to increase costs for some of the services that we provide to you, planning and zoning, building rental, and our recreation programs. And, more than likely, we'd have to cut back or limit the number of programs and events that we have, senior services, food programs, and our home repair programs. So that's me putting dollars to all of the information you are hearing here this evening. I'll be available for any questions. And at this point, let me just say happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ms. Haynes, for giving us those numbers. Hopefully it paints the picture that residents need to see so they have a better understanding. At this time, we're going to hear from some of our directors whose departments are going to be directly affected if this passes. First, we will hear from our Public Works Director, Ron Desbruns.
Thank you, Madam VCM. Can you hear me? All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ron Desbruns, Public Works Director. Statement from Madam Mayor, the Commissioners, Madam Vice Mayor, and also the Public Appraiser. You heard the term quality of life. Toward all the presentation, that's what you heard, the term quality of life. But for us to provide a quality of life, we do it through services, a lot of services. And some of them you heard from previous speakers. And for us to provide services, we need resources. And that resources is through the public taxes that we collect, and we use that for resources. So quality of life is provided by services, and for us to provide services, we need resources. So if the resources are reduced, we have no choice but to reduce the level of services as well. And also that would relate to the quality of life. As the Public Works Director, my primary responsibility is to maintain the city's asset. We call it the city's asset, but in reality, it's the residents' asset, it's your asset. We have 14 facilities. We are in one of them right now that we maintain. Whenever the AC goes down, or we need to make repair, those are the funds, the resources we use to make repairs. We have 5 parks, Vincent Torres Park, Willie Webb Parks, Release Gray, the Cypress Preserve. Those parks, every day you drive by, you see football activities, you see all kinds of activities. How is that possible? We maintain the parks. We have to cut the grass once a week. And to cut the grass, we need lawnmower, we need staff. So if we reduce those kind of services, the grass is going to go fast. You live in Florida, you see in the summer, you cut the grass once, you wait 1 week, it's high again. But for us to cut the grass so the park can be used on a daily basis, we need resources. So if the resources is cut down, the level of service will have to be adjusted accordingly. And one other thing that probably was not mentioned to all the speakers, you drive to State Road 7, you drive to Oakland Park Boulevard, you see landscaping, well maintained, well cut, trash pickup. Currently, we are picking up about 800 bags of trash per month. And I'm sorry to say that you still see trash when you drive because of the geographical location of the city being centered around Brown County. People drive by tossing trash to their windows. And sometimes we pick up trash at 10 o'clock in the morning. By 2 p.m., it's almost like we didn't do anything. Imagine if we have to cut that service. Even with the service we're providing now, with the level of service, we're still dealing with a lot of trash every day. Now, if we're not able to keep up with, even with what we're doing right now, imagine how bad that can be. So those are the things that you don't see every day. As a matter of fact, when you don't see trash, you don't even think about those kind of services. But we have to be ahead of it with your resources to make sure that we address that before you even see it. And we still see trash. Imagine if we have to reduce that level of service. And all of the facilities, all of the park, all is great. Currently, we have capital improvement project where we're going to widen the trail. We add a new pavilion. All of that is to increase the level of service, the quality of life. But without resources, we cannot do that. We have our fleet of equipment. For us to cut the grass, we need a lot more. We need vehicle. We need gas. If we cut the level of service, we have to reduce all of that. And you're gonna feel that. So I didn't wanna paint a bleak picture for you tonight. I just wanted to make you aware of what your tax dollar go to. When you don't see me, that's a good thing. I mean, we're out there, we're taking care of it. But if resources are reduced, the level of service will be reduced, and the quality of life will go down. Again, I don't want to paint a black picture for you, but that's just the reality of it. If you have any questions for me, I'll be on the side. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ron, for providing us with the realities of what will happen if this passes. At this time, we'll have Erica Lockett, the Parks and Human Services Director, to provide how this will affect her department. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Erica Lockett, Director of Parks and Human Services. So you've heard over and over tonight about services that will be reduced. I'm gonna focus more so on our seniors, because those are our babies. I'm a senior now, believe it or not. So some of the essential services that they don't think about are our meal programs that are provided for the seniors. That could be affected. Some of their recreational activities, transportation, community support, community programming. Some of our programs not only can be cut, but they could be reduced. I know our seniors, this is the home to the senior center. They're here Monday through Thursday from 9 to 2, but it could be one day a week. So it could significantly impact them. But what I want to focus on is social isolation that it will cause. People are not thinking about that. So reduced funding for our department will directly affect residents and their overall quality of life, particularly for families, seniors, and youth who rely on affordable programs like this. So if few resources, it can cause social isolation, social engagement, fitness, lack of fitness, so then your health, your quality of life goes down. So people will expire maybe a little earlier. I know our seniors love coming here every day. They love the interaction. They love being with their friends. All of that can be impacted. Also for youth, we have a teen center, an after-school program. A lot of our families rely on that because it's affordable. What are they going to do if we can't provide it? Can they afford it? What are our youth going to do? So those are just a few of the things I wanted to touch on. Everything else has been mentioned. Everyone else that has come before me. It's something I want you all to really think. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica, for letting us know about the services that your department provide and how it will affect us and our residents if property taxes are eliminated. That actually concludes our town hall meeting, but at this time, we would like to see if anyone from the public has any questions for us. We would be happy to answer them at this time. We are at your disposal. I see a gentleman here with a question. Go ahead, sir. We can get the mic over to him.
My first question is, if I paid off for my house and some misfortune takes me and I cannot pay the tax, what will happen?
We do have the property tax officials here. Maybe one of them would be able to answer that question for
Yeah,
you.
what I want to know, would I lose my house if I can't pay the tax? I would have to put outside and to live on the street.
A lot of us, we probably know the answer, but we're
Well,
gonna go ahead and allow the property appraiser's office to answer that question for you.
Sure. So just to clarify your question, you were wondering if something happened and by some misfortune you passed away and were not able to pay your taxes? Is that your question? Unable to pay your taxes. Okay. So, you are responsible for paying your taxes each year. There are exemptions that are available to you. The property appraiser's office does not collect taxes. That's done by the tax collector's office. So, as far as reaching out to them, I know there are certain deadlines and perhaps payment plans, but that's something that is handled by the tax collectors.
I paid off for my house, and because I couldn't meet an accident, something could go wrong, and I cannot pay my tax. There's no alternative. And I heard the governor said, why after you pay for your house, you should continue to pay for it? And I don't believe that Tallahassee would suggest that we eliminate property tax with no alternative. One of my alternatives is if you eliminate the property tax, you could increase the sales tax. So the man who wants to buy a Benz, he might have to buy a Corolla. So because the pressure is on us as house owners, especially senior people. And, so I would suggest, because I'm not convinced of anything that is said here tonight. I would like somebody to have another meeting and invite somebody from Tallahassee to come here and speak to us.
Thank you, sir, for your question. We are going to have additional town hall meetings. And if we're at liberty to invite someone, of course, we are not sure what the alternatives or the options will be to make up that deficit. But if we are able to have someone come and speak at another meeting, we sure will. Are there any other questions from the floor at the moment? If not, we're going to go to the audience that's online to see if there's anyone that has any questions. IT, is there someone online that has? I see there's a speaker with their hand raised. Paula Edwards.
Good evening.
Hey, Ms. Edwards.
Oh, good evening. Thank you for this very informative town hall meeting. I just wanted to know if the House bill in Tallahassee is passed, how soon will this take effect? I'm not sure if that was mentioned or not, but how soon will it take effect?
January 27th. 27.
What year?
2027.
Oh, 2027. Okay, thank you.
You're quite welcome. Any other questions online? I don't see any hand raised. With that being said, just keep an eye out on your lakes alert as well as on our website. We will be having additional town halls and visiting your homeowners association as well, so that we can provide you more information. I believe there is someone else online that would like to speak. Miss Zelda Forward. Ms. Forward? If you can unmute your mic, please, Ms. Forward. Or you can use your keyboard to type in the chat if you are not able to speak. You can also call in. Ms. Fullwood, I see her hand is no longer raised. If you have a question, you can always call us here at the City of Lauderdale Lakes tomorrow. With there being no other comments, this town hall meeting has been adjourned, and we'll have the mayor say a few parting words. Thank you all so very much for coming and for participating in this event.
First of all, I'd like to say, give yourselves a hand for coming out this evening to get the information here. And as you can see, and this will be nice and short and sweet, as you can see, there's so many questions that come with this. So please be attentive to when we're going to conduct other town hall meetings, that your neighbors know, that your friends know. It doesn't matter. This is a state matter. So everyone needs to be informed. Again, thank you so much. Good night and blessings to all of you.
Recording stopped.